Govinda, Govinda.
Guru Goranga, Guru Goranga. We have a sound. We are waiting for this auspicious sound to arrive, Maharaj.
Like Babaji Maharaj. Hare Krishna. He would say that coming from the distance. You can say, oh, Krishna's Babaji Maharaj is coming. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. And speaking of Hare Krishna, are we ready to almost begin?
Maharaj, from our side, I think we can all hear you now, which is the most important part. And
because also so many songs have been sung leading up to this moment. That's why we're going to begin by speaking something in glorification of Srila Gurudev.
Yes, Maharaj, happily, as is most suitable. We are all ears, and devotees are still joining, but they will continue, steadily as the program continues. All is good, Maharaj.
And of course, just who better than Srila Guru Maharaj to condense some glorification of Srila Gurudev in his pranam mantra, which traditionally we know from Srila Guru Maharaj is written by a qualified, he would say, it should be written by a qualified disciple. That's who should write the pranam of the Guru. And in this sense means qualified not only devotionally and otherwise, but knowing Sanskrit language. So this is extraordinary in that Srila Guru Maharaj composed the pranam mantra of His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj, which, just to begin this auspicious occasion, Gurva Bishta Supurakam Guru Gunai. There's a little parade in Gurudev's honor going by here for a second. All right. Gurva Bishta Supurakam Guru Gunai Ashisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Sri Rupa Pantanugam Govindhavidam Ujvalam Bharatanum Bhaktanvidam Sundaram Bande Vishwa Gurun Chadibya Bhagavat Premno Hibija Pradam. So that this is also known, besides his appearance, the Om Vishnupad Vishwarena Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj Avirbhav Mahamahotsavatiti Ki Jai. In addition to that, Sri Vyasa Puja, which means Vyasa is the giver of the revealed truth. Right? In Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Dashmul, he begins with Amnaya Prahat Tattvam. We're not interested in the opinions of any mundane people, whatever they might be. We're exclusively interested, and our true self-interest lies in revealed truth, what's descending from Krishna himself into this world. Right? And that means Shastra, which is Shabda Brahma, spiritual substance in sound, in the form of sound. Guru Maharaj tells us that's the highest aspect in this plane, the least aspect actually of the spiritual world. So Guru Maharaj is telling that he's an expert in capturing the essence of that divine sound. Remember, Veda Vyas, why do we say Vyasa Puja? Because he compiled all the Vedic literature and composed so many things, Mahabharata, and ultimately his magnum opus, Srimad Bhagavatam. And he announces in the beginning of the Bhagavatam that Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite, Mahamuni means Veda Vyasa, Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite, Kimba Parayar Isra, it's so perfect and so full of the ultimate spiritual substance. Kimba Parayar Isra, what need is there for any other literature? And this is by Veda Vyasa himself. Right? And why? Because Nigama Kalpaturor Galitam Palam Shukamukaram Ritadravyasamyatam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhubi Bhavuka. Because the Veda Kalpaturu, the desire tree of Vedic literature, flowered, its floral essence came in Vedanta, but then that gave way to the fruit, the fully matured, ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature. In other words, what it was all meant to produce is presented in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. And what it means is that divine substance, Madhura Rasa, right? That is inclusive of all other rasas, and having a taste of which, if one can taste that divine substance, they lose interest in all other tastes, even spiritual tastes. Right? Raso varjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. This is the ultimate spiritual experience, is tasting that divine substance. So Veda Vyasa's, that's what he said in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, and after he presents perfectly, beautifully that divine substance, he concludes by saying, Sarva Vedanta Saram Hi. So this is the cream of all Vedic thought. And Srimad Bhagavatam Ishate Tad Rasamritam Triptasya. And this sweet Madhura Rasa substance is so satisfying. Nanyatra Syad Rati Kvachit. You'll lose all attraction for any other literature, for any other taste, for any other thing than that. So Guru Maharaj says, as connotation increases, denotation decreases. So if we say, for example, who likes Bhagavad Gita? You know, then everyone, oh, I like Bhagavad Gita. You know, everyone in India, but even in Europe, so many great thinkers, philosophers, the founding fathers of America, they also had some appreciation for Bhagavad Gita. Thoreau, Emerson, the transcendentalists, worldwide, people express, to this day, they express some appreciation. And even the president of India, a few years back, who is a very wonderful Muslim man, he said, I read a chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. But Guru Maharaj, as connotation increases, denotation decreases. Then you say, well, but because the Mayavadis say, we like Bhagavad Gita also, Vishate Tadanantaram, you enter into that divine substance ultimately. But Guru Maharaj said, no, but we say Bhagavatam as it is understood in the light of the Bhagavat, of Veda Vyasa. Then you lose some Mayavadis, others, and you're left with the Sri Vaishnavas, the Madhva school, and the Gaudiyas. But if we increase it further and say, and that Bhagavat, and the light, the Gaudiya Darshan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we leave the Sri Vaishnavas and the Madhva school behind, and we come to the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu exclusively, as given by Madhavendra Puri. When Mahaprabhu met with Raghupati Upadhyay, and he's saying, what is the best thing to be understood? What to extract the ultimate substance from the scriptures? What is that? And he's asking Raghupati Upadhyay, but the verses he gives, interestingly, Guru Maharaj quotes in an article that he wrote, they're really from Madhavendra Puri. We know the famous sloka from Madhavendra Puri, Ai Dina Dayadranatahe Mathuranath Kodavalakshu, that is said to be the supreme sloka of Rasa Kavya. And Gurudev said, that Guru Maharaj explained it to him like this, where we're told not a fourth man understands, but that does not preclude the Rupa Nuga line established by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Gurudev said, Guru Maharaj has told me this, I will never tell anyone. But right before he left, he told me, he said, I'll tell you this much. And he told me the two key words are Deen and Daya. Deen mean, the fallen souls, and Daya, merciful. Because sometimes Gurudev would say, only two things we are certain of, that we are fallen and that Krishna is merciful to the fallen. So we have some hope. Like, think on those lines. But so these slokas that came from Madhavendra Puri, right, through Raghupati Upadhyay, at the request of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says, Shrutim apare smritim itare bharatam anye bhajantu bhavabhita ahang iha nandam bande yasyalande param brahma. Saying, what's described in the Shruti, the Vedas, the Smriti, and the Puranas, and Mahabharata, they're all trying to take you toward that Param Brahma. He said, but what I want to know, so a path to the Param Brahma. He said, but I see the Param Brahma, he has a path to the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. He's crawling there in his courtyard. So what did Nanda Maharaj do that Param Brahma that all the others are trying to indicate, he's got him in the palm of his hand crawling in his courtyard. And what's more, Nandakim akarod Brahman, Shreya eva mahodayam, Yashodaba mahabhaga, papo yasya stanam hari. And who's more fortunate than Nanda Maharaj, if it can be conceived, that Param Brahma crawls through the courtyard and then onto the lap of Ma Yashoda and is sucking her breast milk as a little baby. This is unthinkable. So see, in one sloka, he's taken us from the Vedas, Puranas, Mahabharata to the Vatsalya Rasa. Right? One, like Pujala Ragapat Gaurava Bange, one step below the Madhura Rasa that he will indicate in the next verse. Because by saying this, he got Mahaprabhu all excited, and that's when he said, can you tell me more? I said, well, I could say more, but would anyone believe it? Is there anyone qualified to hear it? And we'll get to that later. So this sort of exclusive devotion that is presented in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that the Braja Gopis, exclusive devotion toward the holy lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. It culminates in Madhura Rasa, and as Guru Maharaj says, Shama Leelah Avalambam, it's all dependent upon her. So they're exclusively devoted, dedicated to her, and the Krishna who is at her side, not other Krishnas. Krishna of Dwarka, or Krishna here, or Krishna there. That Krishna who is at the right hand of Srimati Radharani is the exclusive focus of the Braja Gopis. We see they dismissed Vaikuntha Narayan and asked him if he could give the GPS coordinates of where Krishna was located, because he's omniscient, he should know all these things. So when it comes to, that's what qualifies Srila Gurudev. We're told that Guru should be seen as the representative, the surrogate of Srimati Radharani. He had this sort of exclusive devotion to the holy lotus feet of Srila Guru Maharaj. Sometimes he would say about himself, he'd say, I am a one master dog. Meaning like not going here, there, this guru, this book, that book. I'm just exclusively dedicated to the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev-Goswami Maharaj. And to such a degree that, as Guru Maharaj says in the pranam, Ashisha Guru Ganai Ashisha Sambhushitam, he's ornamented many things, Jyotir Bhushan, Vidya Ranjan, but also the blessings of all the god brothers, the Guru Varga, all the god brothers of Srila Guru Maharaj, when Srila Bhakti Doita Madhav Maharaj was praising Srila Gurudev's exclusive devotion to Srila Guru Maharaj, one of his disciples was a little upset. And then he was like, why are you praising Govinda Maharaj? He has done so much wrong and you're praising him like anything. A little envious, you could say. And Madhava Maharaj said, I must praise. When I see that type of pure devotion to the lotus feet of Sri Guru, I must give my praise, otherwise some fault will come to me. Such a beautiful answer, because we're told, Yasya deve para bhakti yatha deve tata guru tasyoite katita hyarta prakashante mahatmana, that the key, the secret is the same type of devotion that you would expect towards the Supreme Lord. When that understanding and realization is there, if you can have the same equal, if not greater devotion to Guru, then it'd say, Prakashante Mahatmana, then everything is revealed to you. So the hallmark of progressive devotion is to shift from, in a sense, from seeing Krishna in the primary position to seeing Guru in the primary position, Guru and Vaishnav, right? Again, there's no fault there because the Guru being the surrogate of Srimati Radharani. So that sort of devotion possessed by Srila Gurudev and recognized by the God brothers. Also, Srila Keshava Maharaj, he said about Srila Govinda Maharaj, as he is one of the leading disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So think of it, the two really leading disciples, Madhav Maharaj, who Saraswati Thakur said is a man of volcanic energy, Keshava Maharaj, who was his sort of right-hand lieutenant. So both of them have so many followers, disciples, and resources at their disposal to do varieties of seva. But Keshava Maharaj said that Srila Govinda Maharaj, he said, it's as if he possesses some sort of mystic power that with all of our resources, we're unable to achieve. He, with so few resources, is able to do that very thing. He said, how? By using his intelligence, right? By using his intelligence to serve the lotus feet of his Gurudev, he's achieved everything. And Guru Maharaj recognized that from the very beginning. So you could say Srila Gurudev, in this service to the Guru Maharaj, sometimes he is exhausting himself, right? Serving all day and night, and serving directly Guru Maharaj, but also serving all the devotees, managing the mat, guests. When Grihastha couples would come, and they'd be saying, Gurudev would sometimes sleep outside their door so that if they had any need, they'd open the door. Yes, Prabhu, is there something that you need? We were talking about this earlier, how to serve people. Gurudev would sleep on the floor outside the door of Grihasthas because they're disciples of Guru Maharaj or Saraswati Thakur, and that they might need the slightest thing. He was there ready to do that. So, but that means he's exhausted, serving all day and night. And so sometimes Guru Maharaj is giving his Susiddhanta, his Harikatha, and coming to some fine point. And other devotees may have experienced this also. Srila Guru, he's over in the corner like falling asleep. And that first, it's like annoying Guru Maharaj, because he's saying, I'm discussing some very fine point right now, you should be catching that. So he goes, Gorindu. And he said, what did I just say? And then Govinda Maharaj would say perfectly exactly what he just said. And then Guru Maharaj would go like, oh, okay. So even apparently not being fully awake, he was totally capturing everything. So much so that it was Krishna's Babaji Maharaj who sort of, Gurudev captured him from the very beginning. And in one sense, it's he who brought his extraordinary potential to the attention of Srila Guru Maharaj. He's saying, this Gorindu, he's very intelligent, he's very qualified, he's the one that you should give your full wealth to. Because as we heard from Srila Guru Maharaj himself, sometimes to his surprise, because when we came, it was in the latter part of his pastimes at the advanced age, and he would say, sometimes almost in disbelief, he's saying, the full wealth of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is that treasury is stored in me. And now in my final days, it's coming out, right, to all of you. So, but really, that's true, but it was all being arranged by Srila Gurudev. He's the one who was our advocate, who would tell Srila Guru Maharaj, who's very reluctant to come out and speak, and he would say, but Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur wanted you to preach in the West, and your Siddhantic representation is unparalleled, and they've come from so far. So Maharaj, if you will give them 5 minutes of your time, just 5 minutes. That's how he would sweet talk. Guru, oh, you give 5 minutes of your time, then they'll give dandavats and they will go. And Guru is like, all right. You know. Then 5 minutes would turn into 45 minutes or an hour. And that went on for many years. But it was always Srila Govinda Maharaj as the advocate for the devotees. And we know in terms of his own sort of daily, I wouldn't call them practices, I'd say routine. He had a particular routine that he'd wake up maybe like 3 o'clock in the morning, wherever he went, even if he went to another country and there was like conventional jet lag expected, he'd be up at 3 o'clock there. He'd just look at the clock and like, oh, that's when I get up. Because once I was trying to explain to him something about jet lag, and he said, I've never had jet lag. And it's one of those things where you have to go, okay, right, if you say so. But toward the end, one of the last tours, he came to me like excited. He goes, Maharaj, I know what jet lag is. Like he finally experienced it. Like he wanted on his list of things to experience on the West, snow, which he got in Petersburg. Maharaj remembers on that last visit, it was not the time for snowing. And he's leaving the next day and we're all thinking, well, it's not gonna happen, you know, so, but that evening, it started snowing, like mystically, like Krishna fulfilling the desires. We're told from Karnam, Krishna, Mukti Mukulitanjali Sevate Sman Dharma Artha Kama Gataya Samaya Pratiksha. Bilbo Mongol says, all the cities, they're waiting to serve the devotees. The devotees never ask, but they're waiting with folded palms to do some seva. So this snow appeared and Vijay Raman Prabhu came running, tell Gurudev there's snow. We opened the window and Gurudev was, you know, the snow was coming down. It was very beautiful in the evening. So even that desire was fulfilled. But this waking up at 3 a.m. and he'd go to rest at other times, but always awake very early. And he told me once that he'd been doing that since he was a toddler. So he'd wake up at 3 and like go to mother and father. And then father would say, shh, like, don't wake up mother. And he'd crawl on the lap of his father. And this father, who is also Brahmin guru, remember Gurudev's hometown and called Bamanpar, but really is an alteration of Brahman Pur. Like it means the city of Brahmins, the town, everyone there is a Brahmin. And who are Brahmins? They're people who their DNA is gifted with spiritual understanding. What other people are having a hard time wrapping their heads around or understanding, what is Brahman, they get that intuitively. And then they may go deeper and further. So on the lap of his father, he said that is where he taught him the different pranams for the different yugas. Like here's the prayer for the Satya Yuga, the Treta Yuga, the Dwapara Yuga, etc. And many other things. He learned singing from his father. He would sometimes say like professional. And when he was a small child, the professional kirtan groups, they visit the village. He said when they would come and sing these songs about Krishna and the cowherd boys, he said he would, like there's sort of like a parade and they're singing the song. Gurudev said, I would like join in the back of the group and thinking I was one of the cowherd boys and I'm also singing the songs. So a very sweet temperament he had as a child and was predisposed towards spiritual culture. He seemed, on the one hand, because of being what we ultimately understood as a Raga Marg devotee, just spontaneous devotion toward Krishna, would sometimes make you forget his natural Brahminical qualities, but you would see them there in terms of like Jyotir Bhushan, his ability to interpret, astrological interpretation, or his, because what would Brahmins do when they come to your house? Tell you what are the auspicious times for different household activities, give you medical advice. So Gurudev also, his fascination with homeopathy. Sometimes I also saw 3 o'clock in the morning. One day he's reading the Materia Medica. Next day, Gita Govinda of Jayadev Goswami. So unpredictable. And on that end, I remember being in London with Vaishnava Maharaj, Srila Shrava Prabhu, and we went in there like 3:30, and Gurudev is singing slokas from the Antya Leelah of Chaitanya Charitamritam, the highest, most sweet, incredible things. And Vaishnava Maharaj turned to me and just said, like, how fortunate are we to be able to be here, for him to feel, in a sense, comfortable enough with us being here to sing these sort of things, to reveal this sort of thing. And he said, we're like chatak birds that Rupa Goswami describes. Their notoriety is that they only drink water from the rain cloud. So if the rain cloud is thundering or lightning, that doesn't deter them. They only take water from the rain. They don't go to any other source. That was the point. The one master dog, no other source, exclusive devotion to the lotus feet of Guru. And so Vaishnava said, so we're like those chatak birds. We're waiting for that drop of rain that will come. And very often coming so early in the morning. And Srila Gurudev, who Guru Maharaj recognized in him, that sort of exclusive devotion that Narottam Thakur sings about in his prayer to the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami, Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, say more Sampada, say more Bhajan Pujan, say more mantra japa, vrata tapa. In a nutshell, why Gurudev personifies this? One interpretation is, you can say, oh, let the service of the lotus feet of Sri Rupa be the object of my mantra, of my japa, my tapa, my vrata, tapasya, vows, etc. But another way of understanding this, and particularly with a spotlight on the devotion of Srila Gurudev, is his life example is showing that the service to the lotus feet of Guru Maharaj is his mantra, his japa, his tapa, his vrata, is his everything. Right? Seemingly sacrificing other things with this single-minded focus. And I know many things I say at this time, I may have said previously, but I consider that like summarizing, like Kaviraj Goswami summarizes the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. This is the Leelah of Srila Govinda Maharaj. And all of us who had the opportunity to participate in his pastimes, his Leelah, we can be forgiven for repeating those things, and maybe some new light will come. But I recall being on his veranda and from time to time just asking him different things. It was a privileged position to be in, no doubt. And so I might be like, in one instance, I'm found Guru Maharaj explaining the Chaitanyastakam of Rupa Goswami. And one verse I wanted some additional help from Srila Gurudev in understanding. So I asked him, and very happily and beautifully, he explained that. And I was overwhelmed by what he said. And I said, Maharaj, when did you study this? Because I'm saying like, oh, I'm being a good boy, I'm studying this now. When did you study it? And he goes, oh, I've never studied it. And I'm saying, no, but you just gave this incredible explanation. What do you mean you never studied it? And he said, the way he said it is so wonderful. He said, I am Guru Maharaj's servitor. So many statements start off that way. I am Guru Maharaj's servitor. And what he meant, you could think, well, of course, but what did he mean by saying that? He is trying, because devotees who came later, they didn't maybe witness that. And I mean, that includes us. We witnessed him organizing all the seva of the mat, but the older Krishna Sharan, Hari Charan Prabhu, they remember when he was the young brisky boy, in Guru Maharaj's words, and when he said servitor, meaning I did his laundry, I washed the floor, I cleaned the toilets, like when he did all these very, what you could say is menial service to Srila Guru Maharaj. Not what Gurudev would later call sometimes luxury seva, or photo op seva, but menial service. And we see in different places how the menial service is a spotlight is shown upon the menial service as being the one who appreciates that has some extraordinary personal qualifications. So Ishvara Puri with regard to Madhavendra Puri, Narottam Thakur with regard to Lokanath Goswami, Srila Govinda Maharaj with regard to Srila Guru Maharaj. So he'd say, so when Guru Maharaj, when he goes to bathe, and remember, bathing there means the bucket of water and a loda, and you're sitting and pouring the water over your head. So at that time, he's saying, I'm collecting Guru Maharaj's cloth for washing and quickly, what do you call it? Mopping the floor and putting his bed in order, taking the flowers away from his altar, all the different things that you could do. He's saying, I'm doing that while Guru Maharaj is bathing. And while he's bathing, and it points to the zone of Srila Guru Maharaj, so he's pouring that water, he's chanting the Chaitanyastakam of Rupa Goswami. So I like to say, Guru Maharaj is bathing in the Chaitanyastakam of Rupa Goswami every day. So think he's there, Gurudev's in the room next to him, and he's saying like, Raso Dama Kamar Budama Duradamo Jvala Tanur Jatinam Utangshas Tarani Koti Vidyoti Basana Hiranyanam Lakshmi Varana Biva Angikarucha Satchetanna Kime Punar Apidashor Yashati Padam. And Gurudev, that's what he's saying. I didn't study it, but I'm serving the lotus feet of Srila Guru Maharaj. He's chanting the Chaitanyastakam. And he's saying, and by that service, it's transferred from Srila Guru Maharaj into my heart. That is the point. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Muhyanti Atsuraya. Tene Brahma Hridaya. Gurudev always saying, heart to heart transmission. And what is the connection? Seva. Sevan mukhe hijavaro. Shayameva sporatira. The current of seva brings the flow of heart from Guru to the servitor. So, Srila Guru Maharaj recognized this, and Srila Gurudev from the very beginning, that this full wealth deposited by Srila Saraswati Thakur with Srila Guru Maharaj, that Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj was the proper recipient of all of that wealth. And while Srila Guru Maharaj would be there, so that's why he had him trained in Sanskrit by Dr. Shastri, who later said, some of the compositions of Srila Gurudev, he said, I've read all the high poetry there. He said, there are things that he's expressed that aren't expressed anywhere else, that are truly original and supreme poetry, right? He's saying that of his so-called student. And what was his qualification to the degree? Always at Guru Maharaj's side. Whenever I think of Srila Guru Maharaj, it's impossible not to see Srila Gurudev at his side. I like to think sometimes like Lalita, Saki, Radharani and Lalita Saki, you can't think of one without the other, and Sri Rupa and that world. They're all inseparable. And so while Guru Maharaj is composing Premadama Deva Stotram or numerous other prayers and Gayatri explanation and all these things, sometimes he's searching for a word. Gurudev at his side supplying that word. So in so many compositions that are Guru Maharaj, who knows how much in there came from Srila Gurudev, and that Guru Maharaj has that kind of trust in his judgment, that the flow that's coming from me, that same flow I recognize as being within him. And seeing how, and thinking, oh, Srila Maharaj, he's so attached to Srila Govinda Maharaj. Even Swami Maharaj said that about, like astonished how much love and affection that Guru Maharaj had for him. But he himself experienced that. Because you could say, among so many other things, that Srila Govinda Maharaj was very lovable. Right? It's almost impossible not to like him, really, and to appreciate him. So when he was younger, and Guru Maharaj is staying in Navadvip, and he's sort of retired. He's no longer traveling and preaching anymore. So the brisky brahmachari, Govinda Maharaj, who is Gorindu brahmachari, he's sent to Calcutta. Swami Maharaj has his residence and shop, pharmacy shop, and one room available above, and he gives that like for Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Calcutta branch, and who's the young brahmachari is Gorindu brahmachari. That means Govinda Maharaj. And what does he do? He's taking Swami Maharaj's Back to Godhead magazines and going out and collecting from Bengalis. And all of us who know what it's like collecting from Bengalis, Lalita knows, and Bhakti Chandan Parvat Maharaj, like they're the hardest nut to crack, not easy. And when he says the difficulties that he has, he'll tell Swami Maharaj, oh, I said this, and they're talking about Ma Kali. Like one man I was preaching to, he's listening to me I'm giving my little talk, and he said, there are only two people in this world that I worship. And he turns a picture on his desk and he goes, one, my mother. It's got a picture of his mom on his desk, and he turns the other picture, and Ma Kali. That's it. And he said, but I can see that you're a sincere man. Like, ding, gave me a donation. So I know what that's like. And so Gurudev come back sometime a little, like had a rough day, and think Swami Maharaj is there to say, all right, next time they say this, then you come back with this. You answer this, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan, You want to be, don't you see Ma Kali carrying those skulls? You want to be one of those skulls on her necklace? You tell them that. Yes, all right, yes, what did they call him then? Abhay Babu. No, Swami Maharaj. Abhay Babu. So, and we know famously that Gurudev, how much his love for muri, the puffed rice, and he would sometimes say with great relish, like he'd say, Nityananda Prabhu, he likes to take muri with some fried eggplant, and and I used to think, Maharaj, how do you know how do you know that? Like some transcendental insight. So Prabhupada Swami Maharaj, we know he's like hot puris and some like aloo bhaja for breakfast. That's a Swami Maharaj breakfast. And Gorindu Brahmachari, Govinda Maharaj, he's muri and maybe a sandesh or, something. And Swami Maharaj is coaxing him like, Gorindu, have some puris and some sabji. And he would say like, oh, I'm taking muri, I am happy with that. And Swami Maharaj, oh, you're simply cheating your stomach, right? Nothing substantial there. But in this interaction, really, it's like father and son. He's so lovable. Swami Maharaj is also falling in love with Gurudev, and he's saying like, what I wanted my sons to be, he's become that. So when they had the inauguration of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness flagship center, which became known as the Sri, Chaitanya Chandrodaya Mandir in Mayapur. Chandra Udoy means like the moon rising in the sky. It's a very beautiful concept of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like in that beginning sloka of the Charitamritam. Bande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Sahodido Godori Pushpavanto Tamoningro Tamoningro. They're rising like the sun and moon in the sky. Anyway, so that's going to be the opening. And Prabhupada, this is significant. When you're going to have the big opening, you try and get the highest personality to come, right? Like the queen or the representative of the queen. What is Srila Prabhupada Swami Maharaj thinking? Sridhar Maharaj and Govinda Maharaj. And to get Sridhar Maharaj, he knows you have to go through Govinda Maharaj. That's how you get, because Sridhar Maharaj will somehow defer. So through Govinda Maharaj, that's how we get Sridhar Maharaj. So, and we know Guru Maharaj will only go that way. So Srila Gurudev, Bhavananda Maharaj, and Jayapataka Maharaj sent the car, and then they bring Guru Maharaj and Srila Gurudev in the car, and Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj. He's there. Remember, Babaji Maharaj, his mouth is incessantly vibrating Krishna Nam. I'm just trying to tell you that even when it appeared as though he was not chanting, his lips were quivering always like Hare Krishna, Hare. Even when you thought he wasn't chanting, you'd see the lips quivering. Then you knew he was chanting internally. So what a crew, you know, Guru Maharaj, Govinda Maharaj, and Babaji Maharaj. And Swami Maharaj's book, those are the dignitaries that you invite for the temple opening. So they arrive, and we know famously some simple-hearted devotee asked Prabhupada, like, what do we do for the deity installation? Because they have Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Radha Madhava. We should recall whatever's transpired since. Prabhupada's deities are Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Radha Madhava, like Saraswati Thakur. That's the deities he's installed there. And deities he installed in Calcutta, Mahaprabhu and Radha Govinda. Later, his own heart's expression, Krishna Balaram and Vrindavan. But anyway, so this is it. Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Radha Madhav. So they say, Prabhupada, what do we do for the installation? And he said, Sridhar Maharaj has arrived, the deities are installed. Like, that's what we do. We invite him. So that famous picture is there of them sharing the Vyasa. And maybe Madhusudan Maharaj might have anointed that with Holy Trinity title. I'm not sure where that, I think he did. That, because I found that picture in the BBT archives, and I fell out of my chair, you know, asked my friends, can I have a copy of the negative? You know, and we printed that, and you see Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj on the same Vyasadhan, and then Srila Gurudev there at the side, at the mic, singing and speaking. So, and Madhusudan Maharaj gave the legend, Holy Trinity, which is very beautiful and perfect. Later, I'm calling trifecta, which means 3 times perfect. So at their, Srila Guru Maharaj and Swami Maharaj, they speak in a very loving way, how they met each other. It's real, if you hear it, it's a hard recording to extract everything, but it's really loving and affectionate. They're kind of going over the old days and Gaudiya, how they came to know each other. But then, and Guru Maharaj was not feeling so well, so he might not have spoken as long as he could. And Gurudev was not expecting to speak. And then, but Guru Maharaj and Swami Maharaj, they want to hear from him because they know he always can read the room, so to speak, and the situation, and think of that perfect thing to say. As we know famously, that he went to Goswami Maharaj's Vyasa Puja, and it's raining along the way, and tells his disciples, do you know what your Gurudev will talk about today? And they say, who can understand the mind of Guru? And we do not know, but I know. What you know, arrogant young man, you know. And he said, well, I know what he was going to talk about. And he tells them, he will quote this verse, you know, what's Dordinam Manye, guts, you know, about normally we say a day is nice if the sun is shining, bad day raining, but seeing the rain. But a good day really is when you hear some Hari Katha, Krishna Katha, or glorification of the Lord and his devotees. And lo and behold, that is what Goswami Maharaj speaks about, and to the astonishment of his disciples. And Govinda Maharaj's prediction. So Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj, they want to hear from Gurudev. He's not prepared anything, so a lot of pressure of the moment and the pomp and circumstance of the occasion. What's going to come from the heart of Govinda Maharaj? And what does he say? That after we mentioned the one verse before, Raghupati Upajai from Mahaprabhu, when he said, oh, this is wonderful. Anything more you can tell me? Yes, but who would believe it? Kam prati kataitam ishe samprati pratitam ayatu gopati tanaya kunje gopa viduti vitang brahma. In that instance, he's saying, who will believe it? That Param Brahman, that, you know, Vedanta, Puranas, Mahabharata are searching for, is crawling in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. He is searching for the Braja Gopi girls in the Kunja of Vrindavan. Everyone's searching for him. Where did he go? Oh, he's searching for the Braja Gopis. Who will believe that? And is there anyone I can tell this to? This most extraordinary thing. And will they believe it? So he's quoting this verse, but to praise Srila Swami Maharaj and his spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. And we're told, when he first started, you know, Kam Prati Katai Tamishe, Guru Maharaj said, Babaji Maharaj jumped up and went, Hare Krishna, oh ho ho ho! Like, oh, this will capture everyone. How perfect it is. Because Babaji Maharaj is very excited. And it's like, and that's his boy, you know, he was his advocate from the very beginning. And now here, in this most important occasion, the inauguration of ISKCON's flagship center, who rises to the occasion and says the most perfect glorification? Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj. And what he means is to say, like that Abai Babu, who, you know, told me, Gorindu, have some, you know, puris and sabji, who sent me out on the streets of Calcutta, distributing his Back to Godhead magazine. He said, and who considers my Guru Maharaj to be his Shiksha Guru and treats me like his loving, affectionate son, and disguised as a mild-mannered grihasta, you know, inventor and chemist in Calcutta, that person would fulfill the order of Srila Saraswati Thakur to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, to realize the prediction of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Is there anyone who will believe it? Right? That's what he meant by saying that. So perfectly reading the circumstance, and he's saying to capture the audience. So, and I will just conclude with this, that when the particular type of devotion that we witness in Gurudev, and I thought so many times, where you know, is this observable in any other, if it has a particular quality and color? And when we hear the sloka of Srila Rupa Goswami and his Lalita Astakam, the first sloka, praising her unique and outstanding qualities. Radha Mukunda Padasambhava Gamra Bindu Nirmanchano Pakurani Kritadeho Laksham Utunga Sohira Vishesham Brisat Pagalbam Devim Gunai Sulalitam Lalitam Namami. That she's willing to sacrifice herself 1,000 times magnified for the least service that of the lotus feet of Radha and Mukunda, that no disturbance will come into their plane. And we saw that in Srila Gurudev, that he's commanding all the service on the ground level, you could say, of Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. The demands of managing a mat and all the varieties of service that go with that for the deities, the kitchen, receiving the devotees, observing the different festivals. And upstairs is Srila Guru Maharaj composing, you know, Prema Dhamma Stotram and Golden Volcano, subjective evolution of consciousness. Gurudev wants that not the least disturbance will enter that plane. And he will take all the responsibilities and headaches, if you will, that are accompany service and seva in different ways upon himself. Right? And so I thought, oh, that quality that Srila Rupa Goswami has identified as being singular to and outstanding in Lalita Sakhi is also observable in Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj. And the last thing I will say is this, that we had the opportunity to be with him and so many others here, Bhakti Lalita and Madhusudan Maharaj, Avadhut Maharaj, Paramananda Prabhu, Krishna Priya Didi. But he would, although he is infinitely superior, he would make us feel like we were his dear friends, you know, his bosom buddies. His love and affection was so overwhelming. And sometimes you might momentarily forget in whose presence you are and what zone he resides in. So I recall we're on a full veranda in Navadvip, and at the time of Gaur Purnima, and you know, so many people come at that time. And in one sense, it can be really distracting or overwhelming. It's loud. We told yesterday, the Bengalis are being brought up the stairway, the village ladies with their uluking, and then all the Western devotees, and Gurudev has to give attention to all of them. And I'm sitting over in the corner and dealing with some people there, and you know, and at that time of the year, it's really spring festival. The Saraswati Pujas come, and so we're hearing the sound of the kokil, that beautiful sound they make, which we hear here in Thailand. So I hear the sweet sound of the kokil, and I'm like, oh, Maharaj, listen to the kokils. And he said, oh yes, Maharaj, they are competing for the affection of a female. Like that. And I went, oh. And he said, like Rupa Goswami's sloka, though. Like first happy, then like this sort of like deep separation sadness. Kurvati kila ko kila kula ujvala kala nadam jaimini iti jalpati so bishadam. And so suddenly we've entered a different zone in the midst, just thinking of all these other things are going on. And now there's this clear penetration into this higher zone of spiritual reality. And he's saying, when I was a young boy in Bamanpar, and you know, up at 3 o'clock in the morning, he said, we had no watch, no clock, right? It's hard for us to imagine. Maybe the family doesn't have a clock, but no wristwatch, nothing. We know that when someone did give him a wristwatch as a brahmachari, that was like too much luxury. Guru Maharaj disapproved. And after the man left, Gurudev smashed, speaking of smashed potatoes, he smashed the wristwatch and showed Gurudev. And then Gurudev smiled, Guru Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj smiled in approval. So that was another time. But anyway, so he's saying, we learn to tell time by the sky, the stars, and the sounds of different birds. He's saying, so when I would hear the kokil, he said, then I was saying, oh, maybe he's going to say, then it's time to get up and get ready for school. But that's not what he said. He said, then I knew it was time to get up and eat muri. So he's saying that time, so that very sweet sound. He's saying, but here in the poetry of Rupa Goswami, he's saying this sweet sound of the kokil is having another effect upon Srimati Radharani. And what is that? Because we say, Kurvati kila kokila kula ujvala kala nadam. This beautiful sound, it's reminiscent of the liquid sweetness of the voice of Krishna. So you're saying, well, that should bring happiness, shouldn't it? Saying it's so sweet and beautiful, reminds us of the voice of Krishna. But what is the effect upon Srimati Radharani in separation? She's saying, Jaimini, Jaimini. She's taking the name of Jaimini Rishi. That's perplexing. Why? Because Vrindavan people, their habit is when there's a thunder, that they're anticipating being struck by lightning. So they take the name of Jaimini Rishi to prevent themselves from getting struck by lightning. So he's saying, in separation, the sweet sound of the kokil will remind her of the voice of Krishna. And it will be like lightning bolts striking her heart. So he's saying, Jaimini iti jopati chabishadam. And I thought, who is Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj? And what is his capacity that in the midst of these sort of circumstances, he can turn to me and like open a channel, a current, and reveal something like this. And then in the next moment, be attending the visiting pilgrims, giving them some blessings and being his jolly, jovial self. Hare Krishna. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Now, who shall speak next?
Maharaj, I believe Srila Bhakti Bimal Avadhut Maharaj is with you.
Yes, so, he is.
Maharaj, he's Srila Govinda Maharaj's full disciple and fully representing him throughout actually all of the world, starting from the Russian-speaking world.
And when we're there personally at the Vyasa Puja days of Srila Gurudev, I would speak, and then he would ask for Avadhut Maharaj to speak.
Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, and Jai Srila Bhakti Bimal Avadhut Maharaj ki Jai. And of course, on this wonderful day of Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj's Vyasa Puja ki Jai.
Jai. Well, it's a great opportunity for me. I'll try to make it short. Goswami Maharaj is always giving incredible presentation from beginning to the end. So this ending story is really illustrates Srila Govinda Maharaj's divine personality, of his accessibility on divine highest plane. At the same time, understanding that service is not some theory, it's something which has come in front of you today. Therefore, I'm really grateful to all the devotees that are witnessing this program, and especially souls like Srimati Bhakti Lalita, who's fully giving her life, youth, energy, and attention to personal service of Gurudev, and such as Jamuna Didi, that we know she's
Jamuna Priya
Didi. She's always served Gurudev with so many needs of modern world, such as ticketing, finances, and dealing with so many other things. And of course, Madhusudan Maharaj, who's himself is impersonation of that service at any moment and accessibility, because anytime we would enter Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, Srila Govinda Maharaj would forward us to Madhusudan Maharaj. So to us as a Western group, Madhusudan Maharaj is a hub. I also can say one thing, knowing something about Guru, it's not something you can easily learn from the book, although the books are written. It's through the eyes of devotee that you can understand this great appreciation. Therefore, what Srila Goswami Maharaj is describing about Srila Govinda Maharaj, it's not accessible to any common disciple that took initiation. He probably would take, billions of lives and spiritual evolution to even come to conclusion. But beginning of the incredible journey for a lot of us is meaning that we are on the path. It's just a question of our faith, goodwill, dedication to continue that journey. Because we can stop by for a cup of coffee in Thailand or some other place and realize that billions of years pass by trying to get a better taste of coffee. So therefore, on a journey towards on a journey to immortality, you better take what they give it to you, rather start exploring and searching different tastes of material reality, because that may take a long time. Now, speaking of Srila Gurudev, a few interesting things, we mentioned. First of all, he came from Brahminical family and culture, not just Brahminical family and culture, Guru culture, which is, according to several acharyas of Vaishnavism, the universe has 32 stages of a hierarchy, and 32nd stage, which means like Devata, the gods, their assistants, you know, like every great god, like, you know, Indra, you know, Shiva, Brahma, you know, they have tons of assistants and relatives and, you know, the whole office. Entourage. So when we speak about human, is the human mentioned in that Devata section? Yes, they are mentioned as a Brahmanas, but not just the Brahmanas, the qualified Brahmanas, who's actually are a very important function according to scriptures. They're bestowing the divine will on humans. Because when you deal with devatas, they're kind of on a higher level. But when we talk about devatas' position, that we can know at certain difficult programs, they go into the bank of, you know, Shvetadvipa, the Milky Ocean, and in deep meditation, they pray to the Lord. And sometimes Lord would reveal to them, sometimes they just hear the voice or inspiration. Yeah. So it's not like the devatas, you know, easily to access to the Lord. Yeah. But when Bhaktivinoda Thakur were working on the sky, he saw Yamaraj, Shiva, and Mahajans, all the great sages, and they describe Gita, and they have difficulties to understand. So according to their conclusion, hey, let's ask Bhaktivinoda. Yeah. So they approached Bhaktivinoda. So that is the beginning establishment, who's the Vaishnavas. Because out of the hierarchy of the gods and Brahmanas, the being the best man, then out of all of them, the most revered in this universe is the Vaishnavism quality of a person. And as Guru Maharaj would say, Vaishnavism, it's an inspiring part of a devotee. It's not like you're, you know, you might be dressed of Vaishnavism, but sometimes it comes out of you. And even at the moment when you don't know you have it, because it's normally comes in divine exchange. So as Goswami Maharaj describes, that things would come up of Srila Govinda Maharaj spontaneously. You know, he wasn't preparing and making notes or like, you know, giving an academic presentation, what the philosophy is, like Dr. Shastri could do, you know, an academic way of University of Bhubaneswar. No, that would come naturally through his heart at certain very auspicious conditions. What are the conditions are? The devotee is always, actually the true devotee is always looking for that very sparkling moment. And that's what we see in Govinda Maharaj, because we know that divine current, you have to catch it. It's not like, you know, it's not like you're sitting with that and saying, oh, let's talk today about, you know, Gita Govinda, or like, you know, that's kind of more an academic professional way. But in a devotional way, you have to just sense your heart radio in order to catch that wave. And normally you do that through sensing it from others, which means if they're appropriate group, then it's possible. Otherwise, you can keep it to yourself. That might be internally happen. Yeah. So just to keep it simple and finalize. So in the scriptures was guru, according to Narada, has two parts, gu and ru, which technically mean one who can relieve from death. And that is difference from all many, like we say, internet guru, the digital guru, the guru of the fashion, because the word guru is become so famous for like avatar guru. It just entered to the common world. It's probably one of the known world to common people. So when they say, well, today you can see the guru of the fashion, or today he's
financial guru.
Yeah, he's a financial guru, or he's the food guru, like he's the restaurant, you know. So then people say, well, the guru means high expert. But what really think, you know, and some stupid people even think, well, the guru is the guy who can speak about anybody. So there's an Indian guy with beer, you ask him about, you know, what should you invest, gold or silver? Well, you better invest in, you know, which means like highly intellectual person who maybe read 100 books a day, but that's kind of a Google. So when we talk about real guru, we can understand not only he can relieve you from the death, because death is unescapable in the world of matter, but really what would you do as immortal? Just like Markandeya Rishi swimming in ocean of Mahapralaya, or get eaten by crocodiles and you can't even die. Or like, what would be your immortal, eternal function? Would you be like intellectual, read all the books, or like, you know, what would you do? Would you travel from planet to planet and, you know, do the same thing, do the same sin every day over and over again? That also doesn't sound like appealing. So giving the place in the world of service, and that's why Srila Govinda Maharaj, he offered himself. This is world of service. I'm not coming here as a reciprocator of the service. I'm showing what the true service is. And not only by himself, is by attracting people, just like Madhusudan Maharaj or Acharya Maharaj, who you know, at the time of festival, sometimes would sleep on his chair in his little room. And you can come to Acharya Maharaj and ask him anything, bucket, you know, where should we go next, etc. So you can see that there's such a extraordinary beings that have been attracted by Srila Govinda Maharaj and all other servitors, which are, you know, the SoCal ashram, the Russian ashram, the, you know, Colombian ashram, Venezuela, you know, all the people. So Govinda Maharaj went by himself to the tour, 24 tours, and collect all these incredible servitors, just like, you know, picking the flowers or collecting the gems, you know, one by one and shaping them in a particular form. And some of them still need to be shaped better than they were, but this project is going on. But so we can see that in his life, what he did is he's expanded this opportunity. And now we have people like Govinda Land, Ukraine, people that never met Govinda Maharaj, but just by hearing of Govinda Maharaj, just by seeing devotees such as Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Lalita, Madhusudan Maharaj, they get some inspiration to say, yes, I want to spend my life in that way. So that is my deep dandavat pranam to all the, you know, disciples and group of servitors and senior Vaishnava and our Guru Varga group, such as, you know, Govinda Maharaj before he passed away, he said interesting thing, because many quarrels was about who's guru, who's not, who's going to be the guru, who's going to be the acharya. But Govinda Maharaj said very clearly, the senior group, they were already gurus like Janardana Maharaj, Ashram Maharaj, you know, Goswami Maharaj and others. He said they already were gurus. But at the time of me, they gave up their, you know, preaching, superior preaching positions and enter my, you know, unique entourage to support me as like, you know, sometimes a great politician is giving vote to other one to show how great that person is. And so but when my time will be
absorb their function.
Right. But when my time will be over in this world, they will continue, you know, spreading that the same bhav, the same mood, which came from Mahaprabhu, came through Saraswati Thakur, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Govinda Maharaj to the world. So, and this I will end up, and sorry it's being a little long.
No, it's
trying to summarize everything and what I've heard and what I feel in a short presentation.
Jai.
Dandavats.
Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Bhakti Bimal Avadhut Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj Abhibhav Mahamahotsavatiti Ki Jai. And just a reminder before we go on to the next speaker is that we are assembling again this evening, and there will be more opportunities for many of Srila Gurudev's direct disciples to glorify him. But Madhusudan Maharaj, I see here next to us, I'm just looking at my line of vision as Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi, and I think it would be nice to hear something from her. At any time, you will join in, but it would be nice to hear. And next to her is Krishna Priya Didi, and you know we would like to hear from her too. Just preparing you to say a few words after.
Jai.
I was kind of hoping we'd hear from Madhusudan
We
Maharaj,
will.
who's our boss, and you're the rightful one to speak right now.
He is, but I'm jumping over him with his permission.
Okay, I will accept
To shift
that
to the ladies
as
section,
service.
because when you think of Srila Gurudev, there's also the feminine entourage that was inseparable from it. His female disciples are very prominent. So let's give them their due respect. And we'll go, Madhusudan Maharaj will come back.
Okay. So this is a very auspicious, happy, wonderful day for us followers and disciples. And Srila Gurudev personally has always been very particular about dates and times and observances and consulting his Panjika about it, when to start a journey, when to begin a world tour, when to start the cooking for a festival, and also appearing and disappearing, the days, the times. So I think it is no coincidence that his appearance day has come so late due to Purushottam month, making everything a little late, and his appearance day being observed and falling on New Year's Day and ushering us into 2021.
Yeah.
After such an unbelievable year, 2020, he's ushering us into a brand new year and giving us light and hope and a boost and a blessing. And we know it'll be a good year with his blessings. So it's a year we're all waiting for. And we've celebrated this day so many times with him and had the fortune to know that this is a happy day for him too. And he'd be very specific about how it's all to be done and observed. And at this particular time, if we can embrace his teachings and really apply them this year to our daily lives, seeing his example of Trinadapi Sunichena, Turoriva Suhishnina, Amanina, Manadena, Kirtanya Sadahari, the third verse of Shikshastakam, which he lived by day after day, from start to finish to his last breath, being humble, being tolerant, giving honor to everyone, and knowing that this is the only way to live in this world successfully. If we can practically apply what he lived by, what he instilled in us, then everything will be all auspicious and fall into place. And to be generous with each other, to love one another, to be affectionate to all our whoever we come across, who we live with, who we meet with, that he instilled in us. So by his perfect example, what he showed, what he taught, if we can fully embrace and practically apply, we will be successful, and it will be a wonderful year ahead. So it's a very happy new year. It's happy Vyasa Puja, happy Guru Puja. And the day he appeared as our, it's like the guiding star in the sky, bringing all the lost travelers to their rightful place, their home, our birthright, Krishna consciousness, a life of love with Krishna, showing us the way and feeling very grateful for being his servant, his daughter, his servitor, his secretary, all these things came causelessly by his mercy. So every day I feel so fortunate that he's brought me to where I am and shaped me into who I am, and same for all of us, given us our boundaries and parameters and showed us the way. We have more than enough by his grace. So Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj Avirbhav Mahahotsav Titi Ki Jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna Jai, Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi Ki Jai. And Krishna Priya Didi, as we are here in Thailand, and Gurudev had so much love and affection for you that actually he what his idea was to spend his final days under your care and Paramananda Prabhu in Thailand. So if you can remind us of that a little bit and your appreciation.
Okay. First of all, I deep dhanavad to everyone around the world. Like very happy to be here today.
Yeah.
Really, really very happy. Actually, like whatever I want to speak, according what Avadhut Maharaj speak, I want to say, oh, me too.
Yeah.
It's like Maharaj speaking all about the quality of Gurudev. First of all, a lot learning from Gurudev. Actually, I not really lies. I always asking my question, what he's teaching or something. Why I have to do this, why I have to do that. I feel like so heavy for me. And somehow it's turned like, become his mercy. That you know, whatever you're doing, every step, that it mean you like, I feel like I practice. And he give like, even by his look or silence, what you have to do, this. And I keep learning every year. And especially this year, it's like, seem like I'm not so busy. Normally I keep myself busy doing this, doing that. And somehow this year was just like quiet. I do nothing. And I back to remind myself about Gurudev, what I learning from him and what he give mercy to me through by the great like disciple. And then whatever I learn from them, like from you, from Maharaj, from everybody, Madhusudan Maharaj also. I keep realizing it's like, oh my God, I'm so lucky. I feel like, wow, actually they are very deep, like family. Another family I have, not only my parents, my brother or my sister. It feel like spiritual family. And I feel more fulfilled, more sweet. That's what I keep asking every year, like, why I have to do this? Why I have to always be company with devotee? And now I learn.
Yeah.
And it really touched my heart year and year by Gurudev mercy. That I don't need to tell about his quality so much, because for my personal experience, he's the one who captured my very deep heart now. What I learned, something like that. That's what I want to say, Maharaj. It's very happy to be here today.
And we're happy that you're here, and Gurudev is happy that you're here. Jai Krishna Priya Didi Ki Jai. And is Paramananda Prabhu on the screen? If he could speak something.
Maharaj, Dandavat.
Dandavat. You can hear you.
Dandavat.
And see you.
All right, okay.
All right, Dandavat.
Well, Maharaj, hearing all this glorification of Gurudev is like an endless stream of nectar. And I was just thinking about a shloka that Srila Guru Maharaj used to conclude Prapana Jivanamritam. Shri Shrimad Bhagavata Padambuja Madhu Sadotsava Satpadair. How the devotees, like bumblebees, like bees, they're collecting the nectar that is coming from the mouth of those who are relishing the description of the Lord's Leelah, Lord's qualities, and they're collecting and relishing that. So something similar, some kind of a similar feeling coming. And really, it's difficult to know where to start Gurudev's glorification. And so many wonderful things you have said, Avadhut Maharaj have said, Madhusudan Maharaj will say, Bhakti Lalita. And we all heard just now how much devotion for Guru Maharaj he showed. Really, it was unreserved 1000%. And recently I came, I mean, it was around, but recently, by the grace of the devotees, I came to one poem, or I would say a proclamation by Srila Gurudev that he composed in 1955. And if you don't mind, I would like to read few verses, just translation of the verse. It was composed in Bengali, but really 1955, not so long after he joined Srila Guru Maharaj.
Yes.
He composed a wonderful poem. And
That
here
means
it is.
eight years after.
8 years.
Joined
Yes.
47, so 55. Yes, please do.
But really, it shows how much faith Srila Gurudev had since the very beginning into the lotus feet of Srila Guru Maharaj. So here we go. It's just an except. There are many verses. I think there are 9 verses in total, but just few excepts. So Srila Gurudev is saying, I will forcibly engage all, the noble, the ignoble, and even the barbarous in Krishna's service. I will board them all in the boat to Galoka and empty the earth. I will guide them all by the power of my Guru's feet. I will hoist the boat's sails by the power of chanting the holy name. If Mahamaya presents any illusion, I will cut it asunder. I will drive the boat to the spiritual world, and all the men and women will assume divine forms. And then they will become worshipable, even to the gods. Everyone will identify with the same identity, realize their immortal self, worship the Lord, and call out, Jai, Jai. And seeing that, I will be satisfied. So this is Gurudev's proclamation.
Wow.
And recently, we've been working on this project. We're collecting memories and expressions and realizations from different devotees around the world for the Russian mission. It will be published shortly. And devotees were sharing those stories and they were sending them to me. Then we will translate them and then send them on to the Russian devotees to publish it. And then I was astonished to see how many gems were coming out. I know something about gems. And we know, I know how to see a beautiful gem. And the beautiful gem have many facets. The more facets they have, the more beauty it will bring up from the gem. And Gurudev, when we're talking about Gurudev nature, is like a gem of the infinite facets. And each devotee's realization, a memory, something that touched their heart was absolutely unique and really filled with nectar. So it was a wonderful project. And one devotee, and she is probably there watching right now, she's from Australia, Kelly Kadambanana, she reminded me what Srila Gurudev was saying. He said that, actually, I'm taking you all with me. Why are you worrying about anything? You don't have to worry. I'm telling you that. I'm taking you all with me. So no need to worry. Just engage happily in the service to the Lord. Just remember that. And also many times, some observation from Srila Gurudev's visits to Thailand. We heard how Kulina Grama residents, they approached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they asked Mahaprabhu, who is the Vaishnava? And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving the final answer. Who is the highest Vaishnava? And he is saying, Yan Haradarshane Mukhe Aise Krishna Nama. Just by the presence of that person, if someone is inspired to chant the holy name, then that person is considered to be the highest Vaishnava. And of course, we can say, like, we've been, during Gurudev Darshan, we've been sitting in front of him, and sometimes he wouldn't say a word. He will be silent. He may say a few words, but sometimes it would just be silent. And regardless, we will come out from that darshan. We've been sitting with Srila Gurudev for 1 hour, but after that, we're feeling so much inspiration to chant, inspiration to engage in seva, just happy, just being there with Srila Gurudev. And so many times I observed in Thailand, we all know how Thai monks, how reserved they are. They barely speak. I mean, they're not volunteering to speak. They're not volunteering to do anything. And one of the Srila Gurudev's favorite engagement was to go to different temples. And we had so many temples around our compound. And sometimes you would just say, Brahmananda, you drive. And I asked Gurudev, where are we going? And he said, just drive. Let's go to see temples. And then we will arrive to the temples. And Gurudev would come out and he will just see, look around, walk around. Sometimes he's still in the car. But then suddenly we're seeing these monks coming out, like if by magic. And they were approaching Srila. It never happens, really. It never happened. Regardless who is coming to the temple, and Krishna Priya is there to confirm that. They will never come out. They will never offer their dandavats, offer their respects to anybody. But they would do it for Srila Gurudev. And I witnessed it so many times. And Maharaj, you witnessed it too.
Yeah.
I still have that photo, you sitting with Srila Gurudev, and Gurudev not even coming out of the car, but monks are coming and they're bowing down, offering their respects. And that made Srila Gurudev very happy too. And then one monk from that temple, Srila Gurudev was going repeatedly to, came later on. He said that I need to know more. What is this divine personality represents? And Krishna Priya, she was preaching him Bhagavad Gita. She was explaining him who Krishna is and what Srila Gurudev is preaching about.
Wow.
What is his mission? And he was there for 2 hours straight. And I would just leave because she was on fire and the monk was there listening to the talk. And at the end, he got Bhagavad Gita as a donation. And he actually read the whole book and he kept coming for a while and asking questions. Later on, he was moved to another temple, but we witnessed that. Going to the hospital, the people would come and not just like say, Srila Gurudev, tell him where to go, but they will bow down, they will go down on their knees, and with respect, they will approach Srila Gurudev and ask him, how can we serve? What can we do for you? So he had that effect on people. And one miraculous story happened. We all know that Srila Gurudev had a collection of miracles. And we heard those miracles, but actually he was the one who was performing miracles daily. We had eyes to see, of course. But one time, one lady showed up out of nowhere, really out of nowhere. And she came, she drove the car, stopped in the front of the house. And I think Krishna Priya was there and Shugi, Vaishnava Maharaj's son, was there. And she said, is there a sadhu from India here? And they said, yeah, but who are you? But she kept asking, no, I want to see the sadhu. I want to see the sadhu. She was behaving very strangely. And then later on, Krishna Priya find out that the lady said, I was just driving on that highway and then suddenly I felt some inspiration in my heart to come into the small substreets, a little soy, drive to this compound. And I asked security guards, is there a house where the sadhu is living? So she came straight away. And I mean, this is a miracle. So she stayed there for a while. And Krishna Priya is a witness of that. Such a miraculous nature of Srila Gurudev. Anyhow, I'm not going to take so much time, and we're going to have another program in the evening. So I just would like to offer my obeisances to Srila Gurudev, Lotus Feet, Jai, Om Vishnu Bhavad, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Hare Krishna, Jai Paramananda Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
And Madhusudan Maharaj, if you could speak now and conclude this morning's program and we'll have the Guru Puja, Arati, and again, just reminding everyone, we are going to meet again this evening at 7:30 and hear from other direct disciples of Srila Gurudev and his glorification. But if you could conclude this part, Maharaj.
Maharaj, yes, with my obeisances to all of you, headed by yourself, Goswami Maharaj and Srila Avadhut Maharaj there, with my obeisances to you all, and the joy of having so many bees from around the world in one place, buzzing the glories, sharing the glories of the honey of Gurudev's pastimes. And talking about honey and things like this, I'm also well aware from Gurudev how we should be as punctual as possible with prasadam. So I also just very briefly say something, but maybe I'll begin the evening program and to participate a little there. I mean, to start the evening program. And one thing I'd just like to say is I have right here the very poem that Paramananda Prabhu was mentioning just now, and this was like such an inspiration to me that in 1955, what conviction Gurudev had. I mean, it was an automatic conviction from the very moment he met Guru Maharaj. It was like we see the Leelah of the eternal associates. Eternally, they're together in the seva. Gurudev
That means that he was 25 years old at that time.
That means that he was 20. Yes, that means he was 25 years old at that time. And
that young.
Yeah, that young. But what, like, humble, but so like positive conviction. And it's not something that's, you can say, developed. It is just there. It is just manifested. And that poem, the entire poem, it's at the end of Revealed Truth, the book Revealed Truth, for those of you who have it at home. And so, please do read that whole poem and meditate on that, because really what Gurudev said then came to pass in such a glorious way, like everything there, one by one. And that poem is the expression of his heart. And we saw that living expression of his heart day by day for the devotees and for his seva to Guru Maharaj. So this was Paramanand who stole my theme, but I'm happy did that, because then I can speak briefly. But just another point on this, that we know, as Srila Goswami Maharaj was saying, how much seva Gurudev did, every kind of seva that was required, from cleaning the cloth, his room, and so many direct sevas in that sense. But he produced this Gaudiya Darshan magazine in which this article, this poem was published. And he produced that 11 months of the year. And 1 month was the month of Gaura Purnima, the month where there are so many parikramas and things taking place. So it's not that Gurudev then had a month off. He was like fully engaged in that time, as well as doing all the other programs, such as organizing and indeed leading the parikramas to South India, the parikramas for Kartik, the various other programs that were taking place constantly. And Gurudev arranging not just to publish it, but he's the author of many of the articles. And Gurudev said that he wrote many of those articles, but put in the name of others. And he said basically it was himself and Guru Maharaj who wrote the articles. He said actually himself, and Guru Maharaj promised 1 article per month is what Guru Maharaj promised to him. And this way, Gurudev, he made that almost, you can say, single-handedly, but in order that all the readers didn't just see article by Govinda Maharaj, article by Govinda Maharaj. He said, I put in so many different people's names, these articles. But we know how much carefulness, scrutiny, everything, to put anything into black and white, and how serious Guru Maharaj was about anything, especially in the printed form. Whatever we say must be accurate, of course, but especially when it's printed, because that's very much preserved there. And Srila Gurudev, right under the eye of Guru Maharaj, is producing the Gaudiya Darshan magazine every month. And then arranging for its distribution and arranging for its mailing, all these things, in addition to everything else. So just one of these extra things which, are very good to remind us his dynamic energy and dynamic capacity from the young time, and in his later pastimes. He had more energy than any of his servitors. I'm trying to think of a servitor with more energy. But really, he was so energetic. And as Goswami Maharaj said, he didn't know what was jet lag. And some of the younger servitors did, as we noticed. Hare Krishna. So anyhow, a wonderful day, and so wonderful to be with you all. Not to see you, to be with you all. We've all come together. But we do know Gurudev, he would not want the programs to go on a long time after the scheduled translation for the Americans, time for the prasadam, etc. So we are to be continued today at the same time as yesterday. Means it's 7:30 p.m. Thailand time. So just work out that from now. Means it's 20 minutes less than, how many hours from now? 5 hours from now, 4 hours. Anyhow, 7:30 p.m. We'll just go safely on that and not rely on my mathematics.
Yeah.
But also tomorrow at also 7:30 p.m. Thailand time, we're going to go on pilgrimage to Bamunpara, which is the traditional day after the big day in Navadip. Then we go to Bamunpara. And more things to hear from more devotees. We have so many sincere devotees around the world, and especially Gurudev's direct disciples, which we are inviting. Please come. We want to hear. We want to share with each other these wonderful pastimes. So, as briefly as possible myself just now, and to be continued this evening, and looking forward to having your association then, and then hand back to Thailand, and we'll all join in with you with our microphones off and chant the kirtan and dance as well. Jai
Jai,
Srila
Jai
Govinda
Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki Jai Om Vishnu Pad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaj Abhirbhav Mahamahotsav ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Govinda Maharaj Vyasa Puja ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanande.
Hari Bol.
You can sing the Guru Dev Arati.
Shikaya
So this is just brief. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parivraja Acharya Sudhir Sri Srimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev-Goswami Maharaja Avadhut Mahamahotsav Ki Jai Srila Govinda Maharaj Vyasa Puja Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Pad Srila Bhakti Sundar Dev-Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Jai Sapari Par Sri Guru Gandharva Govinda Sundar Ju Ki Jai Sri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai Sri Vanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyam Sundar Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Dham Ki Jai Vaman Paradam Ki Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Ki Jai Sri Gupta Govardhan Ki Jai Sri Govinda Ki Jai Govinda Dham Ki Jai Govinda Land Ki Jai Ganga Devi Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Om Vishnu Pad Vishva Varenya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Madhacharya Vrinda Ki Jai Jai Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Srila Bhakti Kusum Ashram Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Srila Bhakti Vijay Tripura Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Srila Bhakti Bimal Avadhut Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi Ki Jai Sri Parananda Prabhu Ki Jai Sri Krishna Priya Didi Ki Jai all the senior Vaishnava Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Go
Sudhir Goswami Maharaja Ki Jai, Ki Jai, Srila Madhusudan Maharaja Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai, Jai all the Bhakti Ki Jai, Devi Dasi Ki Jai, all the assembled devotees Ki Jai, all the Zoom watching devotees Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Paramananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Krishna Ki Jai, Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai,
Jai Madhusudan Maharaj, Paramananda Prabhu, the Chiang Mai Kitchen crew, Ki Jai, Chinmoy Dev Das, Dandavat, Hare Krishna, Udaran Prabhu Ki Jai, Janvi and her guardian attendants, Ki Jai, Sandeep Krishna Prabhu and Maheshwari Didi, Keshwananda Prabhu from Vrindavan South, Hare Krishna, Bimala, Dandavat Didi, Hare Krishna, Jai, Gurudev, their servitor, Hare Krishna, and Tonks Bhakta Vrinda, their Subhada Devi and Akadashi Didi, Shakira Didi in South Africa, Dandavat, Jai Sri Didi and Salt Lake City, Dandavat, Sita and the Yudamanyu Seva Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Dandavat, Hare Krishna, Dayavati Didi, Dandavat, Rupi Vilas Prabhu, they're in Chongqing, Dandavat, Dandavat, Rupi Vilas Prabhu in Philippines, Somya Sham Prabhu, Dandavat. Looks like they're cooking away. Chandrakanti Didi, Dandavat, Hare Krishna. Ajita Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat. Suresh Krishna Prabhu in Riga, Dandavat. Praneshwari Didi, Dandavat. Lalita Priya Didi, Dandavat. Sushmita, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Didi. Jai, she's in China, teaching all the children Krishna consciousness. Nityananda Das here. Krishna Mohini Didi. Our Dandavats to you and your divine family. Jamuna, Hare Krishna. Is that everyone? All right. Bancha kalpa tribhyascha kripa sindhaveva cha patitanam pavanevya vaishnavya namo namaha. We hope to see everyone again this evening at 7:30 our time. Dandavat pranams to one and all.
Dandavat pranam.